Research indicates food and drugs significantly impact health and well-being. A balanced diet provides essential nutrients, preventing diseases like diabetes and heart disease, while poor nutrition increases risks. Drugs can improve health when used correctly, but there are side effects and addiction when poorly used. Now, the interaction between food and drugs is complex, requiring careful management for optimal health. Now, the question is, are we really what we eat? Is what we eat our first line of defense against diseases? And what should be done to ensure a balance between what is needed and what is desirable? This is the Eastern Eye. I'm Alex Obodo. Welcome to the Eastern Eye, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. Tonight, I'm joined by Osinachi Akumakalo. He's the founder and board chair at Tufts and Afro Longevity. Thank you so much for joining us tonight from Lagos State, Nigeria.
Thank you for having me again, Alex.
All right, so clearly, I couldn't help but invite you again. Anytime I read through your Facebook wall, I see a lot of things going on there. So, typically, one would want to find out and maybe get a bit of the knowledge you share, and maybe so that more people can take advantage of what is it you have to offer. So quickly, I have to ask you, let's start with talking about food. And there's been a lot of talk about balanced diet. And what is balanced diet? And by the way, let me ask you, is there anything like balanced diet?
Yeah, I think thank you so much for the question. I think we had this conversation during the festive period where I took my time to address the question with regards to balanced diet. And I remember saying that there is nothing like a balanced diet. A diet is balanced based on the metabolic health of the individual. What seems to be balanced for A might not be balanced for B because of maybe underlying condition or predisposition to the person's biology. So a diet is balanced based on a person's metabolic health.
Okay, it's on a need basis. What is balanced?
Yes.
What is balanced for Osinachi Akumakalo might not be balanced for Alex Obodo, because our bodies need different things. I think I remember. I remember you saying that maybe my body needs more of vitamins, but here am I forcing carbohydrates on myself. So, but let's talk about this. How does a balanced diet contribute to overall health and well-being? Is it just enough to eat what is perceived as a balanced diet? And how can you ascertain exactly what your body needs to balance itself food-wise?
Yeah, sometimes I think the problem is that we always allow ourselves to get to the stage where we start needing a particular portion of food or nutrient so as to hit what we call balanced diet, because there is already a existing definition of balanced diet, and our mind is already conditioned that we need a certain food in certain portion to have what they call balanced diet. Then with regards to knowing what the body needs, generally in Nigeria, we have protein deficiency, because I remember when growing up, when you ask your mom for more meat, they will ask you, do you need meat or you need food? So it's always a question. And when I see people arguing about balanced diet, I'll ask them, how much have you eaten protein? Because your biological makeup can even re-engineer sugar when you don't eat them. When you stay away from sugar or eating anything that its metabolic endpoint is sugar, your body can re-engineer that. So you need more of protein because carbohydrate is non-essential. But I think what we need to focus on is understanding what the body needs from the early stage. You know, we eat the right thing. We eat more of vegetable. We eat natural food, food from kitchen, not boxed food. We eat food that won't cause us deregulation. When we say that, most people would say eat more of vegetables and fruits, but that's not really the case, because there are plant-based food contains indigestible carbohydrates that your body cannot even digest, so which cause problem for you. So you need more of animal-based food, and then a little bit of plant-based food, but you must eat them in their seasons, so as not to create more problem for yourselves. So most of the fruit that we have will even spike your insulin level. So you just need to really eat fruit in their season and eat fruit from your land, because the minerals in your land were meant for you, based on evolutionary nutrition, because that's what your ancestors eat. So we need to really understand that our ancestors were not making mistake eating food in their season and not out of season.
I mean, very interesting thing you've said there. What does it mean to eat fruits in season? Something scary is happening in our country. And I have to tell you, I have to say this on national TV. I no longer buy fruits anyhow and anywhere I want. I'm very worried about buying bananas. Anything that ripens, I'm very worried about buying them because of the kind of things they use in ripening them. I mean, because when you say that you need to eat fruits in season, when is the season? And how do you know that these fruits that you're about to eat ripened from the tree where it was cultivated, or the tree that gave birth to it? Let me use that word. Is it possible that our people can actually find out the difference between the induced ripened fruits and the other ones, or the fruits in season per se?
I think if we are struggling with that answer, it shows the gap. It shows the huge gap, because just 10 years back or 20 years back, people would say this is banana season, this is plantain season, this is orange season. But now we now say, is this Hausa orange? Is it, before we used to call it agric, we call it Hausa orange. We call it, we tend to profile this, the fruits. Like now, this is the season for corn. This is the corn season. So it means that the food, those who eat corn now cannot eat excess of it, in my opinion, because they will still wait for another cycle for their body to absorb the nutrient, whilst they eat the other fruits in their own season. Now, another thing is what we call icheku in Igbo, or aba. We call it icheku. So there is always a season for it, and it contains vitamins and all that. There are other local fruits. Most people don't even know the value. I think this thing we call ugiri also. Yes. Contains vitamins and all that. So these are seasonal things, seasonal fruits. And even what we call this, it's through ugiri that they produce the ogbono, right?
That's
ogbono
correct.
Contains protein, and eating it in the season, in that season, is very healthy. And these are medicinal plants. I took my time to analyze some of these native fruits, because most people always ask me, aside from eggs, that is now expensive, and beef, what other proteins can they eat? So I took my time to go in details explaining plant-based protein, animal-based protein, and seafood proteins, and seed proteins. And for me, I needed to do that to help people, because it's not, it's one thing to talk about what not to eat. It's another thing to talk also about what to eat and how to eat them.
Okay, when you were answering the first question, you referenced carbohydrates. you refer to them as non-essential. And here we are. Let's talk about processed and high sugar foods and how it impacts our health. It looks like we are now having to take care of filling our tummy as against eating what is healthy. So is there a way to draw the line? First of all, let's talk about sugar. Complex, whatever. I don't want to get into the jargon, so I'll let you use the jargons yourself.
Well, I think when people hear sugar, they think of added sugar. And most people seem not to understand that there are other forms of sugar. There are forms of sugar like fructose, glucose, and all that. And these impact the body heavily. Now, fructose, especially the one derived from fruits, and since it's not added sugar, I also think that when you eat them out of season, it causes more problem because of the condition for which they are also grown, and some of them are engineered or genetically modified fruits, which might be detrimental to our health. Most people still argue that. Some persons that do epidemiological and non-randomized studies will still say, no, it's not true, because some of those studies are being sponsored and funded, So there is a systemic link between the big foods and also the big farmers and then the big governments to create a culture. So back to the question, I think what we need to do to bridge the divides, and the gap there, instead of getting into the confusion, because most people are already addicted with boxed food, the best solution and the best way to answer the question is to ask people to come back to their biodiversity, to eat natural, to eat from the kitchen, and to eat right. Once you know how to eat right and you are eating from your kitchen, it will help you to take care of your overall health. Now, most people don't even know their traditional food because they call it local food. Once you define your traditional food as local food, it creates an image in your mind. And as we have seen in recent time, those in the cities want to eat traditional food, whilst those in the villages want to eat city food. City foods are detrimental to our health, while traditional foods are more medicinal, because foods are also should be medicine.
I mean, one of your write-ups, you referenced Otaraji and Otarede.
Yeah.
In referring to something, I mean, if you are going to eat food, make sure that the food is from your kitchen. But then there is something going on in our country. People are no longer cooking. Some of them not because they don't want to cook, but because it's not just possible. Their jobs are on the flow. So this has created another kind of problem. Allergies. Let's talk about allergies very quickly, because allergies, a lot of people are saying, okay, it wasn't here with us. Is it possible that allergies wasn't here with us? There are people that don't eat up. I mean, whatever you do, if you force them to eat it, they will still throw up. But that's just at a very low level of analysis. How can food allergies or intolerances impact daily life and health? Is it real?
I think
are food allergies real? Is it African to have food allergies? Some people here don't believe that food allergies are possible.
Yeah, I think food allergies could be something that technically, for me, it's food poisoning. People seem to be very careless with their life. They don't take care of their body very well. I did mention in one of my interviews that there is a cultural aspect of life extension. And there is a reason why our species was structured the way it was structured in the past, because you cannot do away, you cannot separate your biology from your ontological foundation. Man by nature is a cultural being, and your culture also supports your biological makeup, or even sustain it. Now, it is cultural that every home must have food, and the food must be cooked. You know, the idea that our jobs restrict us from cooking or makes us not to cook is the same reason why we have more diseases. Recall in the past, if we follow the evolution of sicknesses in Nigeria, some of the chronic diseases that are now common today were referred as big man sickness in Nigeria. So because they had access to ultra-processed food, which made it easier for them to buy such diseases with their money. Now, because they didn't have time to eat, you go to restaurants, you buy food without understanding the ingredients. You don't even know how the seed oil or vegetable oil impacts your health. So you eat in what you call luxury hotels, and you call the oils they use elite oil, which are even industrial oil. They are not fruit oil, because they can't afford to use fruit oil to cook in a big or elite hotel. They see it as local. Now, and maybe in some cases, because some fruit oil are very expensive. Now you go to supermarket, you want to buy food, you look at the ingredients. But if you want to buy any item, boxed food, you look at the ingredients. But if you want to buy food in restaurants, you don't ask them what they use in cooking the food. So you are not careful, then you eat what might impact your health heavily. One of the reasons why we have allergies, food allergy, stems from evolutionary nutrition. Most of the food that we are now adopting are not genetically linked to what our ancestors ate. So it is creating, our body is trying to understand the food or absorb it at a certain level. So that's a problem that comes with, that's what I call food poisoning. So you cannot just say food allergy. Most people, it's because of their mind is already conditioned. Why is it that people can comfortably travel out, then they eat food and nothing happens? But when they eat the ultra-processed food, they start purging. It's very practical. Our elderly parents at home, when you give them certain ultra-processed food, they start stooling, they start purging. So because they are not conditioned to eat such food. So eating also is a discipline. You need to have that discipline to say, oh, I want to eat right. We need to guide ourselves jealously, understand that we don't even have any other life except this life. And that is why I keep on advocating for eating right and not just eating everything. You did mention something like the danger of the food that people buy in Nigeria. I remember going for a field walk in Ikeja, Ajah side in Ireland. So I was doing a field work, a research. Someone told me that there are some persons using chemical to soak the cassavas for processing akpo or lele, as the case may be. So we went there, we saw them, we took data, and they told us they have other friends also doing that. So there are high rates of food poisoning. So those chemicals are detrimental to human conditions and human health. So it's a public health thing, both at the micro and macro level. So we have a lot of work to do, a lot of sensitization, a lot of awareness to create, and people need to understand that they can actually create time for themselves and cook food for themselves. The person you married determines how far you are going to live. The person you married determines your longevity. So both psychologically and metabolically. Thank you.
All right. So what we have referenced is, yes, it is a public health concern, a public health problem. But do you think that the government authorities, the health authorities in Nigeria are paying attention to this, the likes of NAFDAC and ministries of health across the 36 states and Abuja? are paying attention to this as a public health problem. People are going down with kidney problems in Nigeria. And I'm not sure government has commissioned any study to find out why Nigerians are going down with kidney ailments. I don't know, I don't want to ask this question in a way that it will seem odd, but is it fair that the government isn't paying attention to this in a way that will show that they are alarmed at the level of chronic diseases people are going down with?
The government, I don't think, I remembered when a few years ago when I interviewed Professor Sumasa Lonyocha, he said something very striking. When there is no system, even the most intelligent person will fail. So if there is a system, things will all go well. You even going far. Let me put it this way. Public health is a grassroots thing. The government will play a role. We as citizens need to also do our part. So we know some persons, if you go to markets, we know some persons that are using snipers to using snipers on their stockfish, people using DD Force on their mangala fish to restrict termites and other things from eating the fish. So we also know the people that, I remember some grassroots works, I wouldn't want to mention names of people that did it, or that discover this company somewhere, Ekotun, in Lagos, Nigeria. They have been stealing medications and selling it to people. And nothing happened to those people. They have been producing pharmaceuticals fake pharmaceuticals for over 15 years. And nothing happened to them. So again, on the side of NAFDAC is fond of giving numbers to supplements and medication that failed clinical trials in their countries of origin. No, I know so many medication being based in South Africa. I know so many medication in South Africa that couldn't pass SAPRA, but they came to Nigeria and they were given a NAFDAC number, and they are selling them as supplements. And because of zero pharmacovigilance in Nigeria, you see people selling supplements as medication, a curative medications, and people are taking it in place of medicine, and they are creating more diseases for themselves. So if you go to, like I did a live broadcast talking about kidney and liver problem, just accumulation of antibiotics, accumulation of NSAIDs and some other analgesics without proper guidelines, without oversight. Some persons, once they have boil, they go to the chemist, meet a chemist in their street who never passed chemistry and physics to give them antibiotics. So they give them the antibiotics and they take it without the complete dose, and the thing comes back again. You are having boil, you didn't do tests, you don't even know what the problem is. It could be Staphylococcus aureus, and you are even teaching the bacteria how to mutate and to develop resistance to the or antibodies to the problems that you are having. So these are basic problems, and it is the kidney and liver issue in Nigeria is defined as institutionalized or organized health crime, which people are not paying attention. Is from the top to the bottom, both from the micro and macro level. Nobody cares in as much as they make money. So I have also, the last time the Nigerian Pharmaceutical Association interviewed me, I told them that what needs to be done is getting the pharmaceutical companies to retail medication and not just giving out licenses to people or anybody that graduates as a pharmacy. You give the person license. The person will go to Obogu to buy medication. Why not allow the pharmaceutical companies or condition them, or the federal government should tell them to start retail shops across the nation, and then people now invest into it. It will help to control the influx of fake drugs in the market. So, and also the idea of white labeling, which is the greatest disaster in Nigeria. People, pharmaceutical companies, or somebody that has money, you will just pay him money to Indians, ask them to produce or manufacture malaria medicines for you, and then or any other medicine. You tell them, you pay them money. It's your brand. You start selling it, and you get clearance from NAFDAC, and that's it. Where and when did they conduct the clinical trials? Have you ever seen pharmaceutical companies or anyone coming to your village to conduct clinical trials? Have you ever seen pharmaceutical company coming to your village to collect data on the impact of the medication that they have been taking for proper pharmacovigilance, to know how to change the measurement? I remember a doctor asking me a question about a brand that I posted. Oh, are they now using 500 milligram for it in the treatment of? I said yes. It started last 2 years. You said no. They have been using 300 milligram in Nigeria, and they don't even have it. They use 200 plus 300 plus 100 milligram. And they argued until I showed him literatures. You see, they don't even attend international conferences. They organize conferences, but they don't even have time. And I don't blame them. The doctor-patient ratio in Nigeria is much. So you can't even blame them. They don't even have time to take care of themselves. They're always exhausted. I have most of them as friends. So the thing is, you can't even blame the government enough, because there is no structure for them to do the right thing. Where there is no structure, where there is no system in place, there is no structure for execution, and the people keep dying. And we don't even have proper health data. When you want to interact with people and ask them questions about the health zero, when you go to the hospital to get health data, you struggle. So we are in a mess, and I think that the best way is to inform the people on how to eat right, because what you eat and how you live makes your longevity. That's just the simple logic.
All right. So now that we've delved into the realm of medications, let's talk a bit about when people say they have malaria and typhoid. That's the two most commonest ailments in Nigeria. People confer it on themselves. If you find someone sleeping in the office, the next thing he will tell you is that I have typhoid and malaria. I mean, even without a doctor telling them that, they already know that they have typhoid and malaria. Another thing is the Widal tests that people use to find out that they have malaria and typhoid. Please help us put this in perspective, because people are taking drugs. It looks like they don't know exactly what's happening to them. Malaria and typhoid are not the only fevers that exhibit those symptoms that they share. So how can one actually find out what's wrong with them, other than through Widal test? I mean, it sounds Widal, but is it wide enough?
I think 90% of Nigeria, I don't want to give them score, but 90% of Nigerians have never successfully treated malaria because of how it is being encoded in our DNA, and how it has mutated over the years, So even if you are healthy, if you walk into the laboratory, into any lab office to check yourself malaria, you will still find that you have malaria, whether it's 1+ or whatever. So you must
have malaria. You must have malaria at least. If you do a Widal test, it's either you have malaria or you have typhoid.
You must have malaria, because that is it. Because no one have taken time to treat malaria. What you treat is the symptom of malaria. We treat the symptom. Malaria is not as easy as we think it is. Malaria is very dangerous. It's not something to play with. It impacts your DNA. It encodes in your DNA. You need a proper personalized protocol to take care of malaria, which is why I always take time. I work with a group of healthcare professionals from across the world. I take my time. I get not less than 200 DMs on Facebook, and no one has come out to say that, oh, this didn't work. We develop protocols for people, and we need your health history. If you don't give us sufficient information, we won't work with it. So we might tell you, oh, we need more information, and we use it to develop a protocol for you to treat either malaria or typhoid or any infection that you're suffering. Now, the problem is this: when a Nigerian is having recurrent headache, it is typhoid. When the person is having bitter mouth, it is malaria. When the person is sneezing or feeling feverish, it is malaria. Now, if it is persistent, it is chronic malaria or whatever. So the thing is that it started from childhood. It started from the family, because the family is the micronuclear aspect of the society. Every parent in Nigeria is a doctor. They have their first aid. They have basic medicine. Once their son complains to them, they won't say, go and run test tomorrow. Take first aid, take paracetamol tomorrow, go and run, or meet the doctor, because meeting the doctor is the right thing. One of the problems that we have in Nigeria is once we go, we tell people what to give us. When you go to the pharmacy, you tell them, give me a malaria medicine, give me Artemether and Lumefantrine. Then you give me ciprofloxacin, and you add 1 card of paracetamol. You are telling the pharmacist, you are not asking the right question. You are not coming with a result. Then when you go to when you walk into the lab test, you tell the lab scientist to run you malaria and typhoid test. You are not allowing them to pick your vital signs, because it is the vital sign that will inform them the type of test. And the med lab scientists are not trained to collect vital signs. The best people to talk to, you need to talk to a doctor, because so many diseases got the same symptoms. You can mistaken a symptom, the symptom of hepatitis to be malaria symptom or typhoid symptom. So you can mistaken that, and when you pick that, then it becomes a problem. You now allow the hepatitis to become chronic. Now, most people do not know that hepatitis B that I'm talking about is becoming a very dangerous sickness in Nigeria. We need to even pay attention. It is a public health issue. I don't want to exaggerate, because there is no correct data with that. There are a lot of Nigerians that suffering hepatitis B and not knowing that they have hepatitis B. Most ladies only discovered when during antenatal. Most people only discovered during antenatal. They never knew, and they had this before their NYNC. They took the vaccine without running tests to know if they have hepatitis B. So it is already a problem. So we are in a mess. So I think the best thing to do is to speak to a doctor, speak to a healthcare professional. I know that they are stressed. They don't have time to ask the right question, but have a doctor to talk to, have a healthcare professional to talk to. Once you are sick, whilst you are checking malaria and typhoid, check infection test. We had a child of 2 years plus with heavy growth of staphylococcus and candidiasis. So most doctors don't pay attention to this. Most people don't pay attention to this, and they keep on giving antibiotics and keep on giving malaria and typhoid medicine, weighing down the immune system of the child without looking for a personalized treatment that will take care of the overall health of the person. So there are also foods that also engineer, like for instance, infection. Candidiasis is thrived in a sugar system. You know, when you eat more of sugars and all that, the growth continues. So we need to always create room for understanding ourselves better, understanding what works for us, and how to design what will help us alleviate or not to even get into health crisis.
All right. I mean, we will take a break. When we return, we'll talk about oils. Because something scary is happening. We need to talk about oils in a little detail. Whether they're seed oils, whether I call it vegetable oil, whether I call it oil, or whether I call it engine oil. We'll talk to us about oils. If you like, you can add fats, but I was talking about oils. Stay with us. We'll be back after this break.
Okay.
You're welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV, a program that x-rays political, social, and economic developments around us. I'm still talking with Osinakachi Akumakalo. He's a longevity expert. And let's talk about oils, Osinakachi. Oils and more oils. We are seeing them on our shelves. But how healthy are the oils we see and consume on a daily basis?
One of the things that one of the problem of an average African is that we suffer from low self-esteem. An average African sees palm oil as a local oil without any scientific proof. And they run to vegetable oil, which classify as the industrial oil. And some of them will run to seed oil, which are used for making soaps and other industrial produce. I think the best oil, based on the scientific research, the best oils are fruit oil, and in that list, our palm fruit oil comes out as one of the best oils. And I think for me, it's a huge thing. And it's something that we Nigerians need to even pride on. It's something that we need to market strategically. Something that the countries that we sowed the seed, the palm fruit seed, seems to be like Malaysia and Indonesia. They seem to be doing better when it comes to the production of palm fruit oil. Now, most people do not know that some of the some of the groundnut oil that they buy in the market are cold pressed kernel oil, and it's common in India. And I think there is one lady in Enugu State that spoke to me about how they produce that in Enugu State, and they sell it as groundnut oil. The color is like groundnut oil. It doesn't smell like kernel. You know, this our palm kernel, how it smells, but it doesn't smell like that because it's cold pressed. So, and you can even use it as carrier oil in medicine. So it becomes a problem where people even ask question. Oh, some person asks me, oh, when you say, are you saying that I should cook my rice with red oil? I should do my fried rice with red oil. You have your coconut oil, it's healthy. You have your avocado oil, since you want to eat fried rice. You have your avocado oil. You have your other fruit oils that you can even use. I've mentioned the palm fruit oil. I mentioned the avocado oil. I also mentioned the olive oil. Olive oil is very expensive and also difficult to get the original. It's very difficult. It's not the one they sell, not the Goya they sell in Nigeria. The Goya they sell in Nigeria it's fake. It's not original. It's difficult to get original Goya in Nigeria. So olive oil is very expensive, but it's very good and it's very good for the health. And some longevists even take a spoon of it of olive oil daily. But some persons that are into certain protocols. So I think what we need to do is to come back to our root, and then coming back to our root, the oil that our ancestors used. There is also the adulterated version. I'll give you a practical example. In my place, we produce palm oil enough. So I remember supervising, I started sensitizing my people that they shouldn't sell the fiber as original because they are creating public health problem. What do I mean by fiber? You know, after boiling the palm fruit and grinding them, you now press out the oil the first day. Now, after pressing the oil out, you keep the chaff. 2 days later, when you repress the chaff, you will still have oil. So what they do is that they now cook the fiber oil again. The fiber oil, they will now add it to the first phase oil that they produce to make up the quantity. Now, most people that buys in bulk now see it as a first class oil. They now use it to mix with other storage that they have, or even add more chemicals to it, or whatever liquid they use in mixing it up. So we need to start paying attention. We need the sensitization from the grassroots. We need to go to the villages. We need to tell people that the profit that they want to make is invariably creating health hazards. They are even shipping this thing because the people buying from them will take it to the cities, and their kids in the cities will buy those things back, and they'll fall sick. So most of the problems that we are having in this country today, health-wise, are the problems that we created for ourselves. So if we avoid some of all these seeds oils and the vegetables oil, we need to also look at the processes used in producing our own palm fruit oil. So if we cannot give out original, we cannot get original palm fruit oil in Nigeria, then there is a problem. So that is why we need to have a system in place to look into what people eat. Yeah.
Just very quickly, so people adulterate palm oil. Listen, Akachi.
Your question again?
So people adulterate palm oil in this country, and in the southeast.
Not just that people adulterate palm oil in the southeast, the villages where palm oils are being produced firsthand mix it up with fiber. The fibers, the fiber that they mix the oil with before selling is not good for the health. It's not good for the health.
I mean, it keeps getting scared. I mean, the intention of this program is not to scare anyone, but we are here raising. Yeah, we're bringing this to people's notice so that they understand what is happening. So let's talk about. Let's talk about.
Sorry. Let me clear something.
Yes, please.
In our family, we are known for producing palm oil. And people, if you go to our place, my compound now, you will see lots of drums and jerrycan. It was not until when I started my research and everything that I went to I told them, don't miss fiber. Don't sell this to people as original oil. The fiber and all that, you can sell it to industries so that industries will use it, make it known to them that this is not for consumption, it is for production. People don't know the thin line. I know you want to make money, take it to industries. We also have at the back of our house, we have my brother, who is a reverend in Catholic Church, runs this apicultural science, beehives and everything. And someone will come there to say, I want to buy 10 liters, I will mix it, I will convert it into 1 drum. I said, why do you want to convert it? He said that I said, no, you are causing health problems. If I get you doing this, I will get you arrested. We need to start being honest with ourselves. People change things, change dates for expiration. People sell fake things just to make profit in exchange for human life. We need to stand firm. We need to correct the narrative. We are not trying to create fear culture or fear climax. We are trying to pass the right information so that people will make use of eat
Yes,
accordingly.
I want us to talk in as much information as we can. Let's shift to our senior citizens at this point, our aged parents. How important is exercise for them? Because a lot of people don't know that people that are elderly need exercise. What do we do with our aged parents? It looks like we'll have a crisis on our hands. Many of them are always seated inside the house. They don't move out. They hardly move out. The only time they come out is maybe either to bring in the clothes that have been washed or anything, but there's limited movement. And then there's so much food being eaten. Just how do we just draw the line? And what kind of things should we be offering our parents who are now advanced in age? The last time we spoke, we talked about it. And here, just so that you answer the questions at once. In Nigeria, when you mention tea, what comes to mind isn't the tea bags. What comes to mind is all those things in tins that you pour in the cups. They call it milk.
Beverages.
Yes, the beverages. Yeah, how much milk and how much cocoa are in those things? Kindly try and answer them. We have about 6 minutes to go.
Okay, so first of all, the traditional Igbo society wasn't built in such a way that elderlies live a sedentary lifestyle. We are conditioned in such a way when someone is even 60 years, we start saying, "Man, no, to stay one place, in a stress." No, when they walk around, when they weed the compound, you don't need to hire people to do the basic things. Sedentary lifestyle is a health issue, creates health issue, even for adults. People who got better metabolic health, people without much deregulation. Sedentary lifestyle affects the overall health. So how much more an elderly that needs to move the body around as much as they can? They don't need to hit the gym, but they need to just walk around and sweat. They need ventilation, they need vitamin D, they need to be under the sun to tang their skin to an extent. So I think parents should be allowed and also should be exposed. In those days, following the Igbo history and what I've seen in the past growing up, some elders got times when they meet together. This idea of building fences and insecurity makes it difficult for the older citizens to meet around, hang around with their survivors, those who are alive, to have conversation, to share, to stimulate the brain, to share the experience of the past. So it's also a way, you understand, that they can all exercise their brain and live longer, because when they see people, they have hopes. When they see their peers, they have hopes. But when they start only seeing people that cannot discuss certain things with, they start seeing people that doesn't understand the way they relate with realities and all that, it becomes a problem. They feel alone, they feel abandoned, they feel dejected. So exercise is not just walking around, but also interacting, because it's part of their ontological foundation as social agents. Now, on the aspect of the tea, I've stopped taking teas for ages. I keep on talking to my parents because that's sugar and the milk, and we've seen the high rate of prostate cancer among men. People should resort to tea bags. I've written a lot on natural herbs that they can cook and they can convert to teas, and what they can even get to do their own basic homemade teas for their own health, instead of taking things that will cause them Alzheimer's diseases, inflammation, deregulation, and so many diseases that will accumulate over time, and they become a burden to their families, friends, and the society at large. So these are the basic information, especially breaks. I think it's something that we need to do. It's a collective responsibilities for us to create this awareness, for us to encourage the people to eat natural foods, for them to eat healthy, they eat right, and also have a social awareness and better interaction with those around them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about, but I mean, for today, we have run out of time. It happens all the time that I have you on this program, but we'll have time to maybe towards the end of the year, we'll have another one. So we want our people on the things to steer clear of. I mean, it's been very illuminating talking with you. Osinakacha Kumakalo, you are a longevity expert. Thank you so much for talking to us tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited, and this is something that I love doing because I need people to buy time to live longer and healthier. Thank you so much.
That's a good way to end it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And that's the Eastern Eye tonight. My name is Alex Obodo. Good night.